afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the next Propagandacast. Lehr with me, your host, Imperial Dane. We're having a look here at the United States Lieutenant. Yes, indeed, the Lieutenant. A rather unique unit in many regards. I mean, he's sort of the officer squad. In that regard, he's not very unique. What makes him unique is in part, he's part of the teching structure. And you get one extra tech up, 200 manpower, 50 fuel if you want to replace him. After that, though, 300 manpower. So rather than that regard, comes as a part of a taking choice, and that also means initially he also serves as an indicator of your taking choice, which is also a bit unique. I mean, once you pop him to the front, your opponent to a certain extent can sort of then gauge what is the chance of this and this happening next. For example, this scout car, 50 cal, a half tech, much more likely to happen, say, all of a sudden getting a steward up, because, then you'd have to get the captain on again, and the captain will then further alert your opponent. So in that regard, there are some things there to keep in mind. Though, of course, I suppose you could try and keep him back, do nothing with them, but that would rather be a waste of the lieutenant as well. Since, he's also a bit unique in having a larger variety of weapons, and also overall packing a lot of firepower. He's got access to smoke grenades, regular grenades, no anti-tank rifle grenades. He's completely unguarded versus vehicles, except, of course, if you pick up a bazooka. And, of course, that's a little sort of secret detail about the lieutenant. I might as well just sort of jump into now. He can still be upgraded on weapon. He starts out with a BAR, got 3 gentlemen there with Garand, and then he's got himself a Thompson submachine gun overall, in fact, being quite impressive at several ranges, up close, medium, can even do some damage at long range thanks to the BARs. Overall, very nasty at all ranges. In fact, a Veteran 3 Lieutenant is one of the more dangerous units on the battlefield in Company of Heroes 2. So keep that in mind, and good usage of him can in fact really lay down some hurt. But again, you can further upgrade him, and that's actually something a lot of players tend to maybe neglect. I mean, pop a bazooka on him if you want some extra anti-tank firepower, pop another BAR, or pop a Browning light machine gun. All that way you can get a lot more damage out of your lieutenant as well. His veterancy bonus is also quite handy. Overall, a lot more sort of combat oriented. Overall, I'll give him a stat buff. It's not just he knocks an ability. No, he gets a stat buff at every level. Overall, making him that much more lethal at Veteran 3, but also at Veteran 3, he's also one of those units which actually gain automatic sprint. I mean, some units you have to sort of activate, pay a bit of munitions, but with the Lieutenant, he'll just sort of sprint whenever he can, which can also make him a very flexible unit that can run around all across the battlefield at Veteran 3. So that's also something rather important to command the Lieutenant. I mean, he's really a unit, as the Americans absolutely want to get Veterans on. You want to hit Veterans 3 with, because once he hits Veteran 3, he is a powerhouse and can really do a lot to dominate your opponent in one-on-one engagements, and even provide a base of fire in other engagement. Of course, I mean, stuff like suppressing weapons and such can actually, lock him down. I mean, in that regard, he's hardly immortal, invulnerable, or some kind of superhuman being. I mean, he'll be suppressed just as fast as anyone. Of course, cover, of course, helps as well. He doesn't provide any, say, buffs for units nearby, unlike other officers like, say, the Sturm Officer or the Field Officer for the Wehrmacht, which, of course, can root through abilities. I mean, he's just there as a combat unit. He can, of course, pop grenades and all that, but again, beyond that, he does not directly affect any of your other units. He's more of a direct, get in there, kill some Nazis kind of unit. So keep that in mind once you get him. But again, he is definitely a good unit. He's also one you can sort of benefit from getting out quickly, to sort of quickly add some pressure, because he can serve in many roles. Again, thanks to the Thompson and the BAR, he can serve reasonably as an assault unit, though try not to attack across open ground just directly. He can serve as a long-range, support unit. He can even sort of dominate a medium range. I mean, overall, thanks to the weapons already sort of handed to it, it's actually a reasonably flexible unit. Again, can go down very quickly. It's not a very durable unit, it's only 5 man. They're still going to be more durable to say its Wehrmacht counterparts. And of course, compared to the Wehrmacht officers, he's overall capable of laying down a lot more firepower. Capture point is being overrun. So that is also a good thing to keep in mind. And that, I think, to a larger extent, sort of rather covers, otherwise the sort of rules of riflemen and sort of, assault units follow. Don't just attack across open ground. Like, say, if you want to attack something here, go like this. I mean, usually try to stick to cover if you want to attack. Move through it, sort of try to minimize the amount of fire it can take, or for example, use something like this that fully blocks line of sight, so you can that way get close if possible. But overall, a unit that can fulfill many roles, just not a direct leadership role, if you will. He can't really sort of lead many units, but he can sort of pull off many combat roles, sort of need be. He will not necessarily fulfill them very well, but he can do them all pretty competently, actually. And at veteran 3, and again, you know, for further specialize him again, either with these kind of weapons, you know, you can sort of further get more out of him. Again, want a bit of anti-tank, get the bazooka, but you know, you generally tend to find yourself a bit better if you get either, say, a BAR or a Browning light machine gun on him. You're better off then sort of further specializing the vehicle on troops with the bazookas. But again, you can do it because again you can save him with the sprint ability, and you can get a quick anti-tank team sort of pop around a bazooka rocket here and there. So I think, you know, that rather largely describes the lieutenant, his capabilities, how to get the most out of him, understanding him, and of course also sort of to keep in mind, you know, sort of what you're dealing with as the opponent. In that regard, one of the things again you sort of initially can tell again, he's, you know, telling you what kind of taking your opponent has taken, and that's always a good thing to keep in mind. Always something you can sort of then take a deal with, you know, say, okay, I'm dealing with the lieutenant now. That can mean either scout cars, 50 calibers, or AA half-tracks. I know then what I sort of have to deal with, for example. And then again, if you're not seeing him for a certain amount of time, you can go, alright, I'm not seeing the lieutenant for some time, I might have to expect a captain then. And of course, you know, take precautions for that. So those are some little things there to keep in mind as well, some small pointers. But again, you know, sort of broad capabilities and broad roles units in terms of, you know, dealing with infantry. But he's not again going to say fully take over the roles of more specialized units like say assault engineers, or again, you know, longer specialized roles, say a unit filled equipped with light machine guns. So again, he can do pretty well in those regards as well. So hopefully with that out of the way, people will now have a strong idea of the lieutenant, how to use him, how to fight him. And if you do, you know, I'm glad. I'm wondrously glad, in fact. So, there you go. Hope you enjoyed. Hope you learned something. And that's really the primary thing of these. Learning, understanding, getting better at the game. By understanding each of the core parts of it. So you can sort of understand them own and make your own ideas, own strategies, own tactics, and counter-strategies and counter-tactics. So, hope you enjoyed. And see you all tomorrow.